Welcome, welcome back, ladies and gents. It's Sunday, September 10th, 2017. And on tonight's podcast, I'm giving you an update. This is the second update on my podcast tonight. My update on Hurricane Irma. It's been an interesting night. It's been an interesting storm, and needless to say, this storm has been completely unpredictable. Again, welcome to the Smarmy Grin podcast. Smarmy or Grin podcast. I keep forgetting to say the name of my podcast because the only thing that's been in my mind the storm has been in my mind. That's about it. But currently, right now, the storm is down just south of Central Florida. It made its way through Fort Myers. Now it's in the entering Polk County, going towards Volusia County and Lake County. Earlier today in the first podcast that I recorded, I kept saying and reiterating what these forecasters were saying as far as what direction this storm was going to take once it hit Fort Myers. And this storm was supposed to hit Fort Myers and then go along the west coast and hit Tampa, St. Pete area and just keep going north. And then hitting the outskirts of Ocala and finally making its way to the Florida-Georgia border. But after it hit Fort Myers, the winds, as far as how fast this storm is moving, the wind died down to, I want to say, 6 miles, actually less than that. No, it wasn't less than that, I'm sorry. I want to say between 6 and 10 miles an hour. But it slowed down so much that the storm changed direction, as a lot of these forecasters are calling it a wobble. So instead of going west, now it started to go northeast or earlier tonight. So out of Fort Myers, it went northeast instead of going northwest. And now it looks like it's going north. So 2 hours ago, all of us here in Central Florida, especially closer to Orlando, East Orlando, a lot of us in this area were worried that this was good. The eye wall was going to hit us. Now the storm, after it went northwest, it just kept going north. So now it looks like it's going to hit the western side of Orlando, which is going to be the West Orange, Polk County area, Lake County. And then after that, it's going to keep going north, hitting Ocala, and then making its way up to the Florida-Georgia border. So this storm has been completely unpredictable. This whole day, I've been paying attention to the local news. And every other hour has been something different as far as the direction this thing was supposed to take and where it was supposed to go. So needless to say, nobody has really pinpointed where the storm is exactly going. I've never seen this before, living in Florida all of my life, living in Central Florida for most of my life. I've never seen a more unpredictable storm. In the last, in episode number 3 of the Smarmy Grin podcast, and I believe episode number 2, I spoke about my experiences here in 2004 during Charlie and Francis, and then we had another storm after that. I can't recall the name, but that particular storm zigzagged through our state, no lie, you can look it up. And that was the last unpredictable storm that we all went through here in Florida. And that storm was completely ridiculous. It literally zigzagged through our state. This storm is kind of like that, but on a smaller level, meaning the turns that the storm is making are smaller, going from county to county. When the 2004 storm was doing that, it was actually going from southern Florida to northeast Florida to northwest Florida, back to the center, and back to northeast. And that was like the most ridiculous thing you could ever go through or see. Because at one point, I just remember a lot of my coworkers and a lot of my friends, we were like, okay, we're good. This storm is leaving the state. Nah, it came back. It wrapped around and came back. So this storm right here, on a more minuscule level, is doing the same thing, but it's doing it city by city, county by county. And this is a storm. This is a strong storm, not to be taken lightly. As of right now, we are going through a clear in the outer bands. So we're just right now we're waiting on the backside, the back end of this storm, which should be here in the next hour and a half or so. I'm just really hoping that this thing will go north or northwest again. I'm really hoping this thing will go northwest. I'm hoping for lesser winds here in Orlando, and that's what we're all hoping for. And unfortunately, it hasn't wobbled yet or made that turn yet. We won't know until 11 o'clock when the National Weather Forecast and the local forecasters will give us an update on where this storm is going to go. But this is, let me tell you, this has been the most emotional storm that I've ever been through, honestly. And what I mean by emotional is that when you saw the storm out in the Caribbean, it was clocked at 185 miles, as it was just trucking along the Caribbean. As soon as it hit Cuba, it slowed down to a Cat 4, and it stayed a Cat 4 as it barreled through the Keys, and then it made its way onto Fort Myers as a Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 3, low Cat 4, high Cat 3. So, as days have gone along for the last week, you were thinking, because this storm had an uncertain path, you were thinking, okay, if it takes this path, from what the forecasters are saying, we're in the clear. We're just going to get tropical storm weather. We're good. So this is how it's been all week. This completely ridiculous path that this storm has been taken, and the predictions that the forecasters have made. At 1 hour you could be like, oh yes, great, this thing is not coming my way. The next hour, oh my God, are you serious? It's coming my way. So this is basically what a lot of us here in Florida have been going through, and especially here in Central Florida and on the East and West Coast, because you had a lot of people evacuating from one point to another point, and the end point, the final end point, was here closer to Orlando and Central Florida. So this is the emotional ups and downs that we've had all week, from preparing to going through it now, and then waiting, because because it's a slow moving storm now. Now we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and things are not going to die down till tomorrow morning around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That's what I'm assuming. The storm right now has picked up a little bit of steam, not too much. It's moving a little bit faster. So as soon as it hit Fort Myers, it actually started moving faster. If it would have stayed on the West Coast, from what the forecasters were saying, it would have chugged along the same slow moving pace. But now it's actually going a little bit faster. So what we're hoping here in Central Florida is that it'll maintain its speed and just go right through us. And what I mean right through us, just in and out, and hoping that in the next couple of hours it's going to be north of Central Florida. But This has been completely nerve-wracking and stressful, needless to say. Not only stressful as far as getting ready for this thing, but stressful going through this. So here at home, just watching the forecasters, you can tell that they're also on that same emotional low and high because they're just hoping for the best. And for the last couple of hours, this has been so completely unpredictable, which this storm has been all throughout the night. And what you heard right now, those are my friends and family members texting me, and we've been texting each other back and forth all night long, making sure everybody's all right. So this is all we can hope for. Hope for all of us to be fine, and hope for all of us to be doing well through this storm. So as of right now, this thing is south of us, west of Sarasota. It's going north. It actually looks like it's going to go northwest, which we're still going to get hit with high wind speeds here. So what I'm hoping for, that we're going to get hit with between 80, hopefully 75 and 80 miles an hour here west of the storm. Now, the path that it's taken, it looks like if it keeps going north and a little bit northwest, and this is going to go through the heart of Lake County. Wow. At 100 miles an hour, 95 to 100 miles an hour. So this is, oh man, I feel awful for the people in Lake County and Polk County right now, and all of us here in Central Florida. The East Coast earlier today, it just got pounded by tornadoes from the outer bands, the northeast quadrant of this hurricane. So it's been awful to just to watch that on TV. Many people lost their homes, and luckily nobody has passed or did pass from those tornadoes. A lot of those people that were in that tornado hopping path, a lot of them took shelter beforehand. All the local news channels have been doing a great job as far as keeping everybody informed. I have a local news channel weather app, which has been keeping me updated. So right now it's just a waiting game. But the east coast of Florida, we're talking about Melbourne, around the Patrick Air Force Base, Palm Bay, all the way up to New Smyrna and close to Daytona. They've all been just pounded by rain and tornadoes. Tornadoes that were moving at 85 miles an hour. EF0, EF1. Crazy stuff that's going on here. And those northeast outer bands are the worst, because those usually contain microburst and tornado cells. And you don't want to be in the path of that. And that's the one thing that was worrying me earlier tonight as the storm was making its way, the outer bands was making its way through Central Florida, because that's the roughest of the conditions. Even though we still have more wind behind us or below us that we're going to get later on tonight, the northeast quadrant of these hurricanes are the worst. People fear them. If you live in Florida and if you're familiar with these storms, you never want to be in that path. So I'm just glad that most of that is over for us here as far as these tornado hoppers. But as far as the winds from the storm, we're not out of the woods yet. And wow, this thing is going to take another turn. Where's this thing going now? So this is such an unpredictable storm. So the worst thing that could happen is this thing goes west and gets into the Gulf and picks up more steam and hits a panhandle, or keeps going west and hits Louisiana and lower Alabama, LA. But but anyways, as what I'm seeing right now, it looks like this is the latest update, and it looks like this thing is not going to go north now. Now it's going to go west north of Tampa, So this is what I'm talking about. This storm is so unpredictable. I mean, we're talking about 10 minutes ago. This podcast has been going for 15 and a half minutes now. 15 and a half minutes ago, this thing was projected to go north. Now, 15 and a half minutes later, this thing is going west of Tampa, going towards, actually northwest of Tampa. So I'm confused here. I don't even know where this thing is going. So let's pick up a little bit of the news here, and let's see what they have to say. So so these forecasters don't even know where this thing is going now. A lot of them are saying that it was supposed to go east. Now they're saying for the last hour now that it's going to go north. And now they're saying it's going to go west. This is absolutely crazy. Wow. I'm just ready for this thing to be over with. I'm ready for just doing whatever I have to do tomorrow as far as beginning to clean up and helping my friends and neighbors out and family members out. So I've been keeping in touch with my family members, my friends. Everybody's basically at home taking cover. I'm not going to use hunker down because I hate that word. God, we need to get rid of that word. These forecasters need to stop saying hunker down. No more hunkering down. How about just take cover or seek shelter? But anything but hunkering down. So now this is the waiting game like it's been this whole week. So it looks like around 12 a.m. going north, it's going to produce 100-mile-an-hour winds through the heart of Lake County and then making its way up to Ocala. Possible wind gust of 95 plus through 6 a.m. That is absolutely crazy. But this is for west of the Orlando area. This storm is basically going to be sandwiched between Tampa and Orlando. So this thing is going through the middle of what's in between Tampa and Orlando. If you can, just kind of figure that out if you look on the map or you're familiar with this area. But I don't know what to say. This has been the most unpredictable storm that I've ever gone through. So right now, for the last half hour, the winds have calmed down. Earlier tonight, it got a little hairy. It was extremely windy back here behind my house and in my neighborhood. And so I'm hoping that whatever winds we get in the next hour and a half are not going to be too bad. But earlier tonight, oh boy, I was just worried. But I was worried because of the unpredictability of the storm and also the tornado hoppers that we had earlier this evening and up until like an hour and a half ago. There's still a tornado warning for many counties in Central Florida up until 11, I believe, and I believe they're going to extend it back to midnight like they had it earlier. But it's we've already had footage coming out of the Keys, and from what I've seen, destruction in certain areas of Fort Myers, Miami, down Biscayne Bay. A lot of that area has been flooded. I believe 3 downtown cranes came down because of the storm. Another crane in Fort Lauderdale has come down because of this storm. So there's been a lot of extensive damage all throughout South Florida, specifically the Miami area and down in the Florida Keys. So right now, here in Central Florida, we're feeling gust, like tropical storm, tropical depression gust. I'm not going to call it bands because the bands are producing higher wind speeds, but a lot of these gusts that we're getting are tropical depression, tropical storm type winds. They just come in and out. One band will go through and pour a lot of rain or wind or both, and then completely go out and just move away. And then there's a clearing for a good 10, sometimes 20 minutes. Right now it's been for the last 25 and going into half an hour. So, and then after that, after it clears up, you get another band behind it that slams you with something else. It could be just rain, like I said earlier or before, or it could be just wind, or both. At one point tonight, I was getting nothing but windy outer bands. And this last outer band that we just got hit was nothing but rain, torrential rain. So it's been raining on and off all day. And later on, actually in the last 3 to 4 hours, it has rained a lot. So this is what you get with all these storms, with all these hurricanes, regardless if it's a tropical depression, tropical storm, or a Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3 hurricane. Those outer bands, those bands that keep going through a certain specific area, you'll get slammed with rain, water, or both, and then there's a clearing, and bam, you get slammed again. So it's a long process. So this storm is moving slow. I was hoping that this storm was just going to move right around 16 miles an hour. That's what I was hoping for, because it would have just made its way in and out of Central Florida, out of Florida, and up through North Florida. So right now, as it sits, it looks like once it hits North Florida, Ocala, towards the Florida-Georgia border, it's going to go down to a tropical depression, maybe Category 1. I kind of doubt it by the way that this thing has been breaking apart throughout the night. It broke apart a little. The eye wall broke apart when it hit Fort Myers. And I've seen these storms before, and you can definitely tell that this thing over the last 5 hours has been breaking up a lot. But the one thing that has been certain with this storm is that this storm has been completely unpredictable. So now it looks like, yes, so now it's official. The track of the storm is going to go through Polk County and then make that west turn and then go northwest, actually go north of Tampa. So this is completely unexpected. Again, this storm is just going from left to right to right to left. So wait, hold on, let me backtrack here. I don't think it was official, but this is what other forecasters are saying that this storm might do. Depending on what channel you're watching, everybody has their own version of what path this storm is going to take. So I just hope it goes west and then north. I don't want this thing to go north, because that means that we're going to get higher wind speeds here in Central Florida, specifically right around this area in Orlando. So I'm hoping this thing will go west. I'm sorry, people that live out west. I am so sorry. But by the time this storm gets over there, it's not going to be as bad, because I believe that once it makes that turn, this storm is going to start breaking up even more. So as of right now, that's what it looks like it's going to do. It's going to do west and just take that path north of Tampa. So it's going to go north of west from where it is right now, right around the Polk County area. And then it's going to go northwest. And then once it gets to Tampa, it's just going to keep going north. Not northwest, but just north. So that's what it looks like. And this storm has enveloped the whole state of Florida. So just think about that. It's been all day today. It's been since this morning, since last night actually. We've been feeling the effects of this since yesterday afternoon. So it's going on 24 hours now. So this storm won't be out of Florida till tomorrow afternoon. So that's going to be 48 going into, oh my God, 60 hours. So 48 hours from now, there will be sunshine, and this storm would have made its way out of Florida. So this is what we're looking at now. And it's just, a bit disconcerting. As far as from what I saw earlier today, that was really scary because from what I saw out on the East Coast in Palm Bay and Melbourne and that whole area, they just got pummeled with water spouts, and then those water spouts turned into EF0, EF1 tornadoes that caused major damages in a mobile park community there, and another community, another neighborhood that was not a mobile park was also damaged. And then I believe there was a third community that got hit with these tornadoes. So I felt so bad. And for the East Coast, they've had the worst of Irma by far in Central Florida. The people on the East Coast have been getting hammered. And I'm not talking about just wind. I'm not talking about just rain. I'm talking about wind, rain, and tornadoes all day long. Just think about that, all day long. So all day long, what you've been doing, if you were in that side of the state, in that area, you've been basically held up. You've been basically taking cover in a closet, in a bathroom. If you're not in a mobile park, this is what you've been doing, taking cover in a bathroom, a closet. And if you did get those warnings beforehand and you had enough time to evacuate your mobile home, then chances are you probably went to the mobile park community's clubhouse to seek shelter. And a lot of the people that are living in just regular communities that are not mobile homes, they were taking shelters in their house. And they've been doing this all day long. And what I'm talking about, staying put, they're staying put in one room. I mean, I was lucky enough tonight that I was able to walk back and forth between rooms in my house. So we did get tornado warnings and tornado watches, but I never at one point that I had to take cover in one specific room. But this is what the people on the East Coast have been doing all day long. So I feel so bad for them, and I'm hoping that everyone is okay. And as of right now, the worst of those outer northeastern quadrants, those bands are already gone from the East Coast, from Melbourne up to New Smyrna and parts of Daytona. So everybody there should be doing better as far as these tornado producing cells are concerned. So this is what we've been dealing with all day here in Florida, and I'm not live right now, but I'm recording it live, and you can probably hear the wind gust coming in and out, fading in and out outside. And so if you do hear it, I'm hoping that you can get a glimpse of what we've been going through here all day. So I don't know when you guys are going to hear this podcast here on my YouTube Smarmy Grin channel. So if you do hear it, I hope that you guys will just I hope that you guys will hold on, I'm hearing more gusts and more wind right now. So yeah, I'm hoping that you guys will get a glimpse of what all of us are going through earlier today. So more wind and more rain expected as the night goes on. So this is what we're all going to go through later on tonight. And as of tonight, I don't have anything on the vent segment, which I usually do. But the one thing that I will say, though, that I would like to vent and bitch about and moan about and gripe about is basically about this storm. I want this storm to be out of here. I want this storm to be... listen to that. You could hear it. You can hear the wind whistling. So it's an eerie sound when you're hearing that. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I'm sure it's going to fade in again. There he goes. So I'm going to stay quiet. There it is. So you guys could hear what we've been dealing with. There it is. So it's been scary. There were a couple of times throughout this night, this Sunday night, that you were just like, wow, this is not good. This is gonna get if this is just the beginning. I can't wait for what's coming. But that was my feeling earlier tonight. So on the vent section, I just want to talk about this thing being over. I want this storm to go away. No more Irma. I think I can speak for everybody in Florida. Irma, leave. Get out. Nobody wants you here anymore. You're not welcome anymore. You were never welcomed in our state. Now you gotta get the hell out of here. We don't want you anymore. You've caused too much damage. And we don't want you anymore. Just leave. Get out. You have already caused enough damage in Southwest, Southeast, down in the Keys. Just all of South Florida. We don't want you here. Go away. Go away. So you're not welcome here. It's been ongoing for a week now. I think you've caused enough destruction. From the Caribbean to Florida. So please, just get the hell out of here. And that was my venting section of tonight's podcast. The Smarmy Grin podcast. But anyways, thanks for listening. And I will be making another podcast update on the Smarmy Grin podcast. I'll be making another one in, I would say, a couple of hours. So I'll upload all these episodes as soon as I can, and all these updates as soon as I can. I hope you guys are doing great. If you're here in Florida, I don't know when you are listening to this, but if you're listening to this tomorrow, September 11th, or Tuesday, the 12th or the 13th, I hope you guys stayed safe, and I hope you guys, you and your family and family members are doing well. So I'm hoping and wishing nothing but the best for Floridians tonight. And love y'all. Love every single one of y'all. And you guys take care and have a good night. But I will be making another update, another Smarmy Grin podcast update in a couple of hours. And give you an update on how are things going here later on in the night. Alright, so I'll talk to you guys in the next episode of the Smarmy Grin podcast. See ya!